Just give everybody a few minutes to pump on. Come on in. Yes, yes, yes. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Come on in. We are about to begin. We want to welcome you tonight to Living the Liberated Life. And I am your host, Dr. KJ. This is Living the Liberated Life. So come on in and join us. Come on in and join us. We're going to give you just a few moments to come on in and join us. Push. It's almost here. All right, family, we are so excited that you are with us tonight. And we are here tonight celebrating life and living life more abundantly. We are here tonight living the liberated life. And we want to thank each and every one of you that have decided to join us for living the liberated life tonight. Tonight, we are looking forward to sharing some great information with you. So if you have a friend, if you have a neighbor, if you have a loved one that you want to come and join with us, won't you tell them, get online, get on Facebook Live, because we're on Facebook Live tonight and we are on YouTube. So join us. If they don't have Facebook, tell them get on YouTube. Everybody's got YouTube. Tonight, we are excited to welcome 4 fabulous ladies. And if you joined us last month, our topic was sexual trauma and the Black male. Sexual trauma and the Black male. And tonight, we have a topic that is just as provocative, a topic that is just as important to our community. And tonight, we are sharing on the topic of lifting the lid on alopecia. Lifting the lid on alopecia. We're going to get into what alopecia is. We're going to get into the effects of alopecia and how it has affected not just our Black women, but even Black men. It's been an issue with many of us for a very long time. So tonight, I want you to sit back, relax. I'll probably be with you just for an hour. But tonight, we want to welcome 4 women. The first of which hails all the way from Alabama. Do we have any Alabama folks watching us tonight? We hope so. We hope Alabama is in the building. Tonight, we have Sister Tawanna Collier, who is joining. Sister Tawanna, come on from backstage and greet our guest tonight.
Hi. Greetings from Alabama. My name is Tawanna Collier. I am the founder of Bald Beauty Always Looks Different. And I'm really happy to be here to share my journey for the last 15 years, what I've been dealing with and how I've been dealing with it. So thank you for having me and inviting me. And I'm excited. I'm really excited for this hour.
Wonderful. And you look beautiful. You are Bald Beauty. And next we have, she happens to be from right here in Queens, New York. Yes, she's from Queens, New York. And we want to welcome now Miss Nicole Session. Miss Nicole.
Hi, good evening. How's everyone? Thank you for having me here. I am Nicole Session, born and raised in Queens, and I am a dance educator for the New York City Department of Education.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nicole. Yes. And then we don't just have those 2 tonight. We also have another Queens idol. I'm not sure if she was born in Queens, but I know she's in Queens now. And we have Sister Tanisha. Sister Tanisha, where are you?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Tanisha. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, but I definitely do come to Queens. My church is in Queens, the Greater Allen Cathedral. I am an educator as well as the founder of Waiting in Heels, which is a blog geared towards single women and helping them during their journey from singlehood to becoming a wife.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wonderful. We thank you, thank you, thank you. And finally, we have come on, y'all. I need y'all to make some noise out there, send up some hearts and something. Calling all the way from Money Earning Mount Vernon. We have none other than Makeda Jerk Sauce James in the building.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, thank you so much. Good evening. I am Makeda Jerk Sauce James. By day, I am a public health professional, and by night, or whenever I can, I am one half of the cast of the What Happens Here Accent podcast. So I'm a podcaster, amongst other things. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Ladies, you all are stunning, and we are so glad that each of you are with us. And so tonight, as we deal with this topic of alopecia, first I'd like to share with our viewers that alopecia is just the technical term or the medical term for what we know as scalp loss, hair loss, particularly from the scalp or other areas of our body. And so it is not just hair loss from our head, it is hair loss from other areas of our body. There are many women that have lost, women and men that have lost eyebrows, that have lost eyelashes, have lost hair on their body. And so we will hear some of that tonight. There are several types of alopecia. But the most popular types of alopecia, many of us that do have hair have struggled with, have lived with, and have become more familiar with alopecia, tension alopecia. Amen. Tension alopecia. That's the alopecia from those sponge rollers back in the day that were too tight. Those corn rolls that we go and get from the African beauty salons, or not even just the Africans. We're not going to just talk about our brothers and sisters that from Africa, because amen, we are Nubian princesses and we love our braids, but sometimes they're just too tight. Right. And the ponytails, our little girls are beautiful in their ponytails, but we put that gel and that shellac on them, and we put those bobos too tight, and next thing you know, our edges are gone. And so that is considered traction alopecia. And so that is the form that we're most familiar with. And then we have male and female pattern baldness. We have alopecia areata, right? In alopecia areata, I got to work that out, right? And then we have several other forms, but those are the three most popular forms of alopecia. We also have the alopecia that deals with us being stressed out, right? Sometimes we have hair loss because we are stressed. I've experienced that. And so tonight we want to hear the stories of these 4 women, how their journeys with alopecia started, and what were some of the signs they experienced, how they cope, how they dealt with it, how they shared their stories with their family, their friends, their loved ones, their coworkers. How has dating been with alopecia? How has all of that stuff been? Folks are covering their faces, blushing, and all that stuff. And so let us first begin with you, Sister Tawanna. Sister Tawanna, you have, out of all our panelists, you have been living with alopecia for the longest time. So can you share with us?
Oh, absolutely. And again, I'm really excited to be on this panel. So my journey with alopecia began about 15 years ago. And at that time when I was diagnosed, the only thing I was told was, you have alopecia, you need to get some shots, and we'll get like a series of 20 to 30 shots at one time. You need to take this pill every day, which would make me nauseous. And so I would do this every single day. And I did it for about 5 years. So then fast forward to about 2010, and I began seeing a new dermatologist. And so I went into the dermatologist because I know everything about it. I've been doing this for 5 years now, so I consider myself an expert. So I go in and I tell him, okay, so I need this shot, I need these pills, I need you to send it to this pharmacist. And he was like, okay, Miss Collier, but before we do that, let's get a biopsy of your scalp. So I said, no problem. So we did the biopsy, and when the results came back, he said, okay, so yes, you do have alopecia, but do you know what that is? And I was just like, yes, it's an autoimmune disease. It's idiopathic, so there's no rhyme or reason to it. And that's about as much as I knew outside of when do I get my shots and give me those pills that are going to make me nauseous. And so he said, well, the type of alopecia that you have is called scarring alopecia. So this particular alopecia, the common theme is potentially permanent, and there's an irreversible destruction of my hair follicles. And so then those hair follicles are replaced with a scarring tissue. So my dermatologist explained the entire thing to me. And he said, now, these shots and these pills, they're not going to make your hair grow back. And it may slow down the process, and that's a strong maybe. But eventually your head is going to be covered with alopecia. So you'll lose all of your hair. So, okay. So about this same time, my daughter was entering middle school, and that can be a tough time for kids, right? There's an increase of outside influences and comments and distractions, and their bodies are changing. And I remember emphasizing to her that, hey, look, Kyla, what God gave you, that's what he gave you. So whatever that is, you've got to rock it till the wheels fall off. Now I'm telling her this, and every morning I'm getting up, I'm pulling out my tools where I have my brush, I have my comb, I have that brown gel, that mighty, mighty brown gel that I don't know the name of it, but the brown gel that we use.
The pre-con gel. That's the pre-con gel.
So I have the brown gel, I have my spritz. I was ready. I was covering up these spots, so you wouldn't be able to see them on a daily basis. So one morning, as I'm pulling out my tools, I stopped and I said, what are you doing? What are you doing? See, I was telling my daughter to do one thing and I was doing another. So my audio wasn't matching my video. So I said, okay. So I'm telling her whatever God gave you, he gave you. So you need to rock until the wheels fall off. So what did he give me? Well, he gave me alopecia. So I decided right then and there, okay, I'm going to embrace this. And I've been bald ever since. And it didn't come without, some kind of a journey, right? And I've had people ask me all kinds of questions like, do you have cancer? Are you sick? And I'm just like, no, I'm bald. And one time I can remember being down in Houston, Texas, and I was down at one of the mega churches down in Houston, Texas, and we got an opportunity to meet the pastor. And he was just like, and my friend had cancer, and he said, well, do you have cancer too? And I was just like, no, I'm just bald. That's it. That's all. And so from that, that's been a part of my alopecia journey. But there's one other thing I wanted to mention about that journey and people asking me questions. One time, this lady asked me a question about my alopecia. She recognized that I had it. And so she said, my granddaughter has alopecia and she struggles with it. How do you deal with it? And so I shared with her, I wasn't bald as a child. So I would have to think about how I would deal with that as a child. But I did struggle with alopecia, and I can look back on my 15-year journey and see where I actually struggled. I struggled when I was taking those pills. I struggled when I was hiding. I struggled when I was getting those shots. That was my time of struggle, excuse me. But once I embraced this alopecia thing, and what I have and what it is, there's been no more struggle. And so there's been absolutely no more struggle. So what I did was I looked at bald and I looked at the word and what it meant. And I said, okay, bald. And I made it an acronym. And I said, okay, what does each letter stand for? Beauty always looks different. And that's that's what I believe. So I, again, started this organization, and we just embrace individuality more than anything,
Nice.
And we also couple our organization, because our mission is to promote self-confidence by discovering individuality. And we couple it with the scripture, if I may. And the scripture is, your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles and the wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that of inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. And that comes from 1 Peter 3:3-5 NIV. Now, so we have a scripture, we have a mission, we have a goal. And I partnered with that same daughter, who's now an adult in her first year of medical school, I must add. And we've written a children's book, and I'll discuss that later. We've written an affirmation journal, and we run a virtual campaign every year, September specifically of every year, because September is the month of alopecia awareness.
Okay.
We ask people to tell us what is their bald, and it doesn't mean, it has nothing to do with if you have hair or you do or you don't have it. It's what makes you different, and it could be something internal, external. But what we're doing is we're encouraging the celebration of individuality and accepting what God is giving you, because to me that is the key to liberation. Accepting.
Right. And as we consider how we use our gifts, our talents, our graces, even the obstacles that we face, even the challenges, you spoke about challenges, even the challenges that we face cause us to find something else within us to hold on to. Right. And so now you are creatively finding a way to hold on to. So you leaned on the scripture, you leaned on your gift of being able to write. And you said, look, if I could write, then I could write a book for children. I can write, a book and encourage someone else. So we thank God for you and for your journey. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're not just my sister in Christ, but you are also my sister in Delta. So I thank you, my soror. Amen.
All right now, amen.
And as we segue to our next story, I have another wonderful soror who is here with me tonight. And she is not just a soror, but she is also a soror in my chapter, Queens Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Stands Up. All right. We have Miss Nicole Session. Soror, come on and share your story. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Give us 1 second. Our production assistant has you muted. That's okay. She's live. 1 second.
There we go.
There you go. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Hi, good evening. Again, thank you for having me here. It's great to be here. So my story began in 2012. Well, that was the first time that I realized something was going on. And for me, it started with my eyebrow, my left eyebrow. I thought it had something to do with me threading. So I didn't really get too crazy about it. But then I started also having a spot on my left side of my head. Well, it's opposite looking at the camera. And from there, I laid off the threading, saw the spot in my head, and I went to the doctor. And I remember my doctor saying to me, oh, I know somebody else who has that. You should go see a dermatologist, right? But for me, I didn't take the advice, something that I've always been bad with my doctor until, the last several years I've gotten a lot better with listening to him. But anyway, I thought maybe it was stress from my job. I had just became the union rep for my building that year. And I had also and I had started taking blood pressure medicine. And even though I was prescribed to it, I wasn't taking it regularly. And I had started taking it regularly. And I thought maybe the combination of the two had something to do with me losing my hair. So I remember being in class one day. I had locks, and my locks were down my back. And I remember being in class one day teaching, and my students just kept staring over at the floor. And I was like, what are y'all doing? Like, I'm teaching you a step. What's happening? What's going on? So they were just really quiet, but they kept staring. So I turned around, looked on the floor, and one of my locks was laying on the dance floor. So I was like, why didn't y'all tell me? Like, but I just thought it was because it had thinned out from the back and it had fallen out. They was like, well, we didn't know what to say. So time went on, and as time had gone on, I started to notice that more spots in my hair were starting to fall out. So it started here on the left side, then it went to the middle, then I had spots over here on the opposite side. So by 2014, my best friend was getting married and I was in her wedding. So I had actually had started going to, no, actually I didn't start going to the doctor yet. I went to my hairstylist who was doing my locks, and we decided to cut my locks down. So that way my hair would fall over to the side that was falling out the most and cover up the spots. And we started doing that, went through the wedding. So I cut my locks up to this length. It was up to my shoulder length, and it fell to one side. It was a real cute style. Definitely covered it up. And as time continued to go on, then I had to start wearing like bands. I forget what we call them, but they go around the head. They only cover a part of the head. They don't cover the whole entire head. Then I started wearing like sock stops or whatever they're called that go on your head.
The lock socks?
Say it again.
Lock socks?
Yes, lock socks. Thank you. So from there, I started doing all these different things to try to compensate for the loss of the hair. I went to a dermatologist. She did the same testing. So just like Tawanna, I have scarring alopecia. So she started with the needles, and she was very honest with me. She said, at this point, I don't think there's much more that we can do. She said, we can stop your hair from falling out, what's still left, but I really don't believe the growth will come back. There had been such inflammation in my scalp that covered up the follicles, which prevented them from growing. And literally, when they say scarring alopecia, there really is scarring on your scalp. And you see it definitely more in the wintertime when I don't have a tan. But in the summertime and springtime, when the sun starts to hit it definitely starts to blend in more. So we're going through the shots. The shots are not working. My body like it wasn't even a reaction, but you could tell it was rejecting it. So she decided within several weeks that we would go to natural remedies. So we started using different essential oils, and there were certain mixes that I needed to mix. And I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, and I wish I had them in front of me. But there were several essential oils that I had to mix, and started using those. And again, it just wasn't working. So it was at the point where if I washed my hair, I couldn't blow dry it. So I had to let it air dry, and that was annoying because what was left was still very thick. So I couldn't blow dry. I had to go to bed with a wet head, all these little different things that were just, annoying at that time. I kept trying to figure out how to cover up the spots so no one would see the spots. And I spent a lot of time stressing over covering it up, that it finally got to the point, and I had several conversations. And for me, I was always a very natural person. Once in a while I had a perm, but we're talking about way back in probably my 20s was probably the last time I had a perm. And and it only lasts for a short time because I can't do the non-natural things. So anyway, I went on and I kept going back and forth about, should I cut my hair? What should I do with my hair? Should I cut my hair? I went to a Zumba class one night. It was in the summer of 2014. 2015. What year are we now? 2020? So it was 20. Yeah. So it was 20. The following year, so 2015, I went to a Zumba class, and I came home that night and I wanted to wash my hair, and it was late, and I was like, if I wash my hair, then I have to go to bed with a wet head, and I don't want to do that. And I stood in the mirror, and I took out a pair of scissors, and I just started cutting the rest of my locks out. Earlier that day, I went to a talk show with a friend, and she said to me, it sounds like you're stressing more about keeping your hair than you are about letting it go. And when I started cutting my hair, I felt so liberated and so free. Like, to even explain that feeling is unbelievable. So from there, I went on and I called my barber the next day, who had been my stylist, my loctician. I called her the next day and I said, hey, Sheila, I cut my locks out. I was like, can I come in tomorrow and you just cut the rest of my hair off? And she was like, cut the rest of your hair off? I was like, yes, cut the rest of my hair off. I said, I'm ready. She had tried to talk me into, doing extensions of locks
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature. And I was like, that's just not me. I didn't feel comfortable wearing wigs. I didn't feel comfortable getting weaves. Like, it just wasn't comfortable for me. And I have, you know, since then, I've been bald for the last 4 or 5 years. It's bad that I lose track of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no regrets, and I wouldn't go back.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sister Nicole, for sharing your story. And I need you ladies to stay on board because we do have questions that are coming in. We're going to open up the floor for questions, but this has been so rich already. And I thank you both for your courage and your tenacity, or your transparency, and your willingness to share tonight. And so now, Sister Tanisha, we love to hear your story. Come on, Brooklyn in the building.
Yes, BK in the house. So, thank you so much for having me, Dr. KJ. I am the person you spoke about in the beginning. Like, I had all the styles, the braids. I would go to 125th Street, get my hair done, braided. It would be tight, but it was cute. And that's how I grew up, you know, in New York City, especially in the summertime. I'm a dancer. That's my first passion. Yeah, you know, you had to have that slick back and your hair in a bun and different styles just so you can dance and not worry about sweating out your perm. So I experimented with braids. I experimented with having perms, different styles. I was known for having all the latest hairstyles, not realizing the damage that it was doing to my hair. It wasn't until I was in my early 30s and going through a very, very stressful time. I lost my grandmother. I remember in the shower, taking a shower, washing my hair. At this time, I went natural. And when I looked down around my feet, I just saw patches of hair, like clumps of hair on the floor. And I got scared. I didn't know what was happening, but, you know, I tried not to panic. I went to the barbershop, you know, just so he can even it out. And I thought nothing of it. And even from there, I was hiding. I really didn't share what happened with other people. And then it was slowly, the thing with alopecia is that for some, your hair, you will lose hair, but sometimes it will slowly grow back. And so you might have this false sense of security, like, oh, this was just a one-time thing, or, oh, it's just stress. So I saw that it was slowly growing back, but in it growing back, I still had spots. So I learned how to cover up the spots. And for me, I would use sprays to match my hair color, just to hide it and give it more volume or more density. You see all these commercials online. You can use this spray or use this particular makeup to hide the spots. And that's
Don't they have a powder as well? There's like a powder.
Yes. Oh, I have them. Yes. I threw them all away, but I became the queen in hiding and using those items to help hide the spots. And then after a while, I just started experimenting with weaves. And so the weaves started, and I will alternate between weaves and wigs because I didn't know how to share my story. Although I had women around me that were strong in their baldness, I have a now very, very great friend, now my soror. She's bald by choice. So let's
just be clear. Let them know what sorority you are, because we don't want them to get it twisted, right?
I am a proud member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Phi Zeta Zeta Chapter, Queens, New York. So I had a wonderful friend then, but now soror, helped me through the process, but I still wasn't ready. And the thing with alopecia, uncovering the lid or coming into your own truth, you have to be ready. Everybody's journey is not going to be the same. And I still have amazing friends that are still deciding not to shave their heads, you know, so everybody's process is definitely different. After a while of just experimenting with wigs and weaves, last year I was like, Tanisha, what are you doing? What are you going to do? You know, I'm now in my 40s. This happened in my 30s. What are you going to do? Are you going to continue to hide, or are you going to make a decision to do something else? And I came across, now she's a good friend of mine, friend's IG page. Her name is Renee. I came across her page and I saw a picture of all these beautiful bald women in Texas. And I'm like, well, what's going on in Texas? Like, who are these people? What's going on? How can I be a part of this group? And so I reached out to her, didn't think that she would reach back to me, and she did. And it has been the most incredible friendship. She's now like my big sister. She's the one that introduced me to the Baldy movement. That was started by Nell, and she was like, "You just need to come on into this group. The only criteria is that you have to be bald. So you have to take off that wig, take a picture to verify, you know, because everybody in the group are bald for different reasons, by choice, or by cancer, or by alopecia. So it's a really strong sisterhood, and that experience has changed my life. Last April, I went to Cuba when it was still acceptable. And I decided to cut my hair off at that time. So for me, my hair still grows. It grows thin, and there's certain spots that I have spots that are balding, the hair will never grow. But there's parts of my hair that will grow still, and there's parts that just won't. And last year I decided to just cut it off. And I went to Cuba for the first time, just feeling liberated and free. But then I had to come back to New York. And, you know, the fear starts to settle in. And it's, do I step out in my new truth, or do I continue to hide? And then I'm an educator, you know, so I have students that I teach. You know, are they going to think that I have cancer, or are they going to think something is wrong? How do I explain my truth to others? And so last May, I decided on Facebook to share my hair journey with my friends. It was very scary, but the most liberating experience that I had. And I took the last summer, to just ease my way into this new life. And last September, I went to school bald. You know, some of my students were like, hey, what happened? And some of my students was like, yo, Miss B, you always doing something different, you know? And they're like, you're always doing something different. It's a different wig. It's a different, now your hair is gone. Like, okay, Miss B, you know, and they kept it moving. I think you have to first be comfortable with yourself, and then people will see that confidence. They'll inquire, they'll look, you know, but it has been a wonderful journey. I celebrated a year. I do not regret it. I love it. I have a blog, so for single women that want to eventually be married. And
we're about to get into that in a minute.
Okay.
We're about to get, because we need to hear. Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a minute. So you just hold your horses.
Yes, I love it. That's my story. So
well, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. And last but not least, the newest to this journey, to this bald and beautiful journey, is Sister Makeda Jerk Sauce James, who is coming now to share her story. Sister Makeda, come on and share your story.
I'm coming. This has been quite a journey and an experience. And as I was listening to my tribe members, as I am going to claim these ladies, I found a bit of my story in everyone else's story. My story started about 4.5 years ago. I'll make 5 years this August. And it started off with a trip to the beauty salon. Very unsuspecting, you know, like all of the other ladies I used to do. You know, I was known for changing my hairstyle. So, you know, one summer I'm blonde, and the next summer it's a dash of purple. And then another day it's a crinkly weave with some blue. And, you know, so I was known for doing all of the things. I was a naturalista for quite some time as well. And then I would decide to go perm my hair the next day. And so fast forwarding to the beginning of my story, I went to the hairdresser. She removed, I had a cute little piece, short hair on the side, you know, doing the thing. It was summertime, trying to be cute in these streets, single girl, summertime. And all I hear my hairdresser gasp. I head back, I'm in the washer. She's washing my hair and she stops and she gasps.
And that's never a good thing. Just so our viewers know that if your beautician, if your stylist gasps while your head is in the bowl, that's not a good thing.
That's not a good thing. And so I said to her, what happened? And, you know, she didn't know what to tell me. And so she said, let's not worry about it. Let's finish. And so she finished me up. And when she finally let me see a mirror, because she started blocking me from the mirrors, I asked her, I said, hey, where's my hair? It's not on my head. Where is my hair? And so literally I was looking at strands of hair sticking up on my head, and I'm looking at all of my scalp. So I'm downtown Brooklyn, you know, far from home. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Where is my hair? I grew up in a very Caribbean household. That's no secret. And, you know, my grandmother and my mother always instilled in me that your hair is your crown and it is your beauty. So you always take care of your crown and you take care of your beauty. That is the essence of you. It is the essence of your femininity. It is who you are, period. Okay, great, right? So I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, well, where is my crown, my glory, and my beauty? Because it's not here anymore. And I remember going to my friend's house immediately and I had a really good cry because I didn't know what to do. I got home and I said, well, you have to go to work. You cannot hide in the house all weekend. Fortunately for me, it happened over a long weekend, so I had some time to strategize. And yes, while I constantly, you know, changed and experimented with my hair, I was never one to wear wigs on a consistent basis. I would wear it, you know, just for a different look, to go out. I would get something different. And I said, oh my God, am I really going to have to wear a wig 24 hours a day? What am I going to do? Bought a unit for $40 out the beauty supply store. I said, okay, I'll figure it out when I have time. Fast forward, I go to the doctor and she, like the other lady, she said, we need to do a biopsy, figure out what's going on, but I think it's this. And I said, okay. So we did the needles and she prescribed Rogaine for men. Okay. So she gave me a special topical and she gave me Rogaine for men. And so I was using that every day. And what happened was, the good news is that my hair grew back for sure. It started to come in. And I remember calling Mama Jerk Sauce, Mommy, hair's coming in. It's coming in. I'm going to have hair this summer. Just getting really excited because I didn't lose all of it, but I just lost so much of it that I had like the kizzy plaits at night, and then I would rub it in and take care of it and tie it down. And so the hair started to come in, but the issue was I started to have hair coming in all over my face. And so I had a werewolf effect going on.
Not the werewolf, not the werewolf. Lord Jesus, not the werewolf.
I was a werewolf for part of 2016 that no one
knows. Explain that. Hairy cheek, hairy
hair on my forehead. I had hair like on my cheekbones. It wasn't normal. I'm looking in the mirror one day and I'm like, my complexion looks off. What's going on? And started petting myself. And I was like, this is not normal. So something said, take some Nair and just do an experiment. Child, I had hair and I said, no. This is not going to work out. So,
and this is the result of the shots or the Rogaine?
This was a result of the Rogaine, the men's Rogaine. Right. So you can have hair, but you will have all the hair. So I said, all right, let's figure this out. And thankfully, summer 2016, I had hair, but it was never the same. It was never my true texture. And I had a flare up in 2016. So that's how alopecia tends to work. And I have alopecia areata. And what happens is your hair will grow, and then it'll fall out. Then it'll grow. It's like your hair is playing peekaboo with you. So you never quite know what's going to happen. It's like a surprise all year round, right? So my hair, I started to lock my hair. So I said, okay, since I'm not sure what's going on, let me lock this bad boy. That was the one thing I always wanted to do. Locked it, child. The lock started falling out, bald spot here, there, and everywhere. So I said, I've had enough of this. I have to concede to what's going on. Thankfully, by the second time around, the hair started to go. I started my journey of acceptance. Mm-hmm. Really, essentially, that's what it was. The word alopecia started to turn into the word acceptance for me. And along that journey to acceptance, I was open to trying different treatments. I was open to, so I had the injections as well. I was doing that. And because no more cream, no more werewolf effect for me, that wasn't going to happen. But even as I tried to get the hair back on my head, and I would be remiss to say that once I decided to let the locks go and cut them, thankfully, one of my really dear friends, her boyfriend is a barber, and I was so ashamed because it was unconscionable how I've never seen myself look this way. And I didn't know who I was. And so he opened up the shop for me at 9:00 at night just for me. And he cut the rest of my hair off because I didn't even know where to start, where to begin with the patches. And it's like, I didn't have enough hair to have hair, but I still had like little mini froze all around my head. And it was a trying time. And so since then, I've been bald consistently. But fast forward to 2017 and 2018. So as I'm getting accustomed to trying on new wigs, trying lace fronts, trying different styles, I had adopted the perspective that, okay, well, now I get to be a different woman. Let's try a new unit. I have like a whole singing group in my chest.
Okay. Supreme. Let's go, Supremes and Destiny's Child. All right.
Then I noticed that my eyebrows were looking a little sparse. I said, oh, okay, the eyebrow right. So that was the summer the eyebrows went. And then right after the eyebrows went, the eyelashes went. And it was when I lost my eyelashes. And that's when I really had to take a really good look at what was going on. And I had to have a serious conversation with God. I was upset. I'm not even going to lie and sit here and pretend as if it was okay. It was not okay. And I asked him, I said, listen, what's going on here? I don't understand. Why me? I could understand if I was ill, if I was sick, and if I did this, if I put a bad perm in and I did something to you, but what did I do to deserve this? I was looking at my condition as a punishment and not as a blessing, or not as a lesson or something for me to learn. And so the part that hurt me the most after I lost the lashes and the brows, and I finally came to some understanding because I learned tips and tricks, because a lot of people just didn't know unless I said something to them. But it was one day when I went to visit Mama Jerk Sauce, and she's probably laughing as I'm calling her that. And I went to visit her, and she looked at me and she started to cry. She started to cry, like I'm her only daughter, and she started to cry. And it was in her tears that I had to say to her, I'm gonna be okay. Like, I'm not sick. I'm gonna be okay. Let's take a minute. Let's take a step back. Let's look at the beauty in all of this. I'm still breathing. I can still walk. I can still talk. I can buy a wig. I can draw my eyebrows on, which is exactly what I was doing every day. Do you know what it's like to draw them on every day? Mm-hmm. And I discovered that when you don't have hair, facial hair, none of it, there's a different level of nakedness that happens and that you feel. And I shared with a friend, I was like, oh, I get naked at night. So if you don't catch me before I wipe that last eyebrow off, I'm not coming outside. I was hiding for a long time. I was hiding. I wouldn't let you come in the house if I didn't have my unit on. I wouldn't, So there were just a lot of different steps. And so it went from not saying anything to anyone, to mentioning it to close friends and slowly widening that circle, to letting people, if I'm at home in my space, letting people come into my space and seeing me comfortable without my unit, to talking about it more, to sharing more, to, as of recent, February 28th of this year, I decided it was time for me to take the lid off. And so I shared a picture on my social media platform without my unit. I'm just a baldy that likes to wear wigs. I'm getting to the point where, as of this summer, I will no longer wear a unit in the summer. Slowly transitioning. So that's why I say it's definitely a journey to acceptance. And I finally accepted alopecia. It's not a bad thing. It's just something different.
Wow. Thank you so much. Very rich, very rich, very rich. And so now, ladies, there are a few things that kind of came up. We are going to we have someone who is monitoring our questions. So if you are watching today and you have a question for any of our panelists, if it goes to one specific panelist or to all of them, please feel free to go ahead and put your question in the comments, and we will be sure to ask as many as time will allow. But I realized that after speaking particularly with Tanisha and with Makeda, I know Makeda is a soca princess. She loves to go to carnival, right? I know that Nicole and Tanisha are dancers. And let's talk about, and I know that you all love to travel. So let's just talk about how this impacts, let's take them all off of mute. Let's just talk about how this impacts your everyday life. Things like going on vacation. Who was I speaking to this week that said that they have not been, they went on vacation and they hadn't been to the beach in so long because they were concerned about what it would be like to go to the beach. Most of us, beautiful Black women, we go get our hair braided when we're going on vacation, right? Those of us that have locks, like myself, we don't have to worry about it as much. But when you were hiding, now you all probably don't worry about it at all. You're like, here, I'll put on a hat, I'll put on a scarf. But before, and I'm speaking on behalf of the woman, the sister who is battling that in between, because we know the meantime is a mean time. Yes. And so we find ourselves battling, oh my goodness, I want to go in the pool, but if my wig gets wet, or if a strong wind comes by, if I'm on a date, let's go there, single sister, right? And he wants to rub his fingers through my hair, right? Back in the day, you used to worry about if he'll feel a trap, and you feel like he will know it ain't my hair. Right. Now,
free.
You know that I don't have no hair. Now what happens? But talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, for me personally, Cuba was the first time that I have been in the pool for a long time without worrying about, swimming, or I'm going one way, my wig is going another. So it was so liberating to be there, be free. I can get my hair wet when it rained and everybody is running inside because of their hair. Yep. I was walking freely. So there's some benefits to definitely, walking in your baldness, or in your boldness, as I call it. And just the freedom to be, there's no pretenses in dating. What you see is what you get.
Yes. Right.
Right. I'm still whole and fully woman. But what you see is what you get, and it draws people in, and sometimes they want to inquire and know more, and sometimes people have their own misconceptions. But for me, it's just been about walking in my truth, embracing it, and for the most part, men that I've encountered have been open and have been receptive.
I'm still waiting to get to that part. I haven't yet gotten to that part. I've gotten up to the part where I share with them, but then the conversation internally is, okay, well, when is it the right time to share? that what you're seeing is going to change eventually.
Right.
You're not going to get this all the time. So you might wake up and it's on the dresser. When do you share that?
Well, sis, you don't have to be bald for a brother to wake up and the hair be on the dresser. Let's just be honest. Because everybody who, everybody that wears wigs and weaves and hair extensions, they're not bald. And so the reality is for you, it is a little different. It is a little bit different because as you shared before, your eyebrows, you'll wipe your eyebrows off, right? You've shared that. And so Sister Tawanna, you've been sitting and you are the elder in this assembly, right? Of women, right?
And said that I'm the elder in all of it. Honestly, and I was listening to each story, and it still moves me how everyone processes the baldness, and everybody's path is their own. Literally, once I shaved my head, that was it for me. I've never worn scarves or hats and wigs. It's not me. I think if I were to put on a wig or something and I start to, it probably sit back here, or I don't know. So, but again, that's not my jam, and that's okay. And whatever is for you, I always say that whatever's for you is for you. And how I embrace it, how I take it in, it's different. But there is something to be said about not having this. It's so freeing. It is so, to be free and bald. It's just freeing. But I can tell you this too. When I walk into a restaurant, I can tell you where the air conditioning is coming in.
Yes.
I'm catching a chill just talking about it.
Yeah.
And I typically will have some type of a scarf or like a wrap scarf in my purse when I go out. Well, when I used to go out, without this going on, because of the air conditioning. But that's as much as you're gonna see me put on my head. I absolutely dig it. And I've had probably every hairdo as well, from braids to perms to too tight of ponytails when I was probably little. And nothing against my mom. She did best she could, what she knew how to do. But I've had all those hairstyles too, but it takes my daughter. And I'm going to tell you, I have the ultimate cheerleader. I really do. And she said to me, you know what? All your other hair, they just didn't ever fit you, I don't think. This fits you. And I was like, you're right. You are absolutely right. So again, wherever you are in the process, it's okay. It's okay. Wherever you are, just know that you're okay. And if you decide come this summer, Ms. Jerk Sauce, that you don't want to take that piece off, that's fine too. That's absolutely fine. It is fine.
I appreciate that. And I say that because, as I was researching and looking for other women who were sharing in this experience, I noticed that there is a little bit of a divide. So there are some women who are just burn the wig and liberate yourself right now. And then there were other women, who was where I was. And it's just like, well, I like the comfort of my unit. It's like a blanket. It's a security blanket. However, again, there comes a point in time where I'm maturing and I'm saying, okay, listen, are you going to keep your lid on yourself? Are you going to continue to limit yourself? Or are you going to take the next step? So yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Can you ladies share how you being liberated has impacted other areas of your life? How, in the moment in which you said, I'm no longer going to hide, how has that impacted, whether it be your life regarding your family, how it impacted your journey with your spiritual life, or if it's impacted you in relationship with just people in general? Can you speak to that?
I think for me, it's brought upon a different level of confidence, because you have to be able to walk in that and you have to be able to bear yourself. So I think it's a transparency. It's definitely has brought about transparency for me, for a lot of people, where you see me, you see all of me without the hair. And, you know, definitely conversations around it. So I've even had family members who have said to me, oh, you should try this, you should try that. And I had to eventually say to them, I'm comfortable where I'm at. And I don't want to try things anymore. Like, I just want to live in my comfort and in my space and not have to keep trying to find ways for my hair to grow back. I've accepted that my hair is not going to grow back completely. And as Tanisha has said, it does grow back in certain spots, but it's not all over. In terms of other people, there are people who I've met since my hair has been cut, and they have said to me, when they found out that I actually had locks before, they have said things to me like, oh, I can't even imagine you with hair. Right. Because they've gotten so used to who I am without hair. And then I also had a few people who said to me, oh, when they found that I had alopecia, they said, oh, we thought you just cut your hair because that's what you wanted to do. And I was like, you know, that wasn't it. It was a choice. It definitely was a choice, but it wasn't a choice based on one day waking up and taking all my locks out.
So we have a question on Facebook. We do have a question here. And the question is from Kenya Lady K. She says, there are tons of videos on YouTube making claims to naturally cure alopecia. Very curious about each of your, very curious about each of you around the natural cures. And thank you for sharing your stories. Such a wonderful display of strength. Continue to live the hashtag liberated life. And she says queens, and she gives you 4 crowns. Where's my crown? Okay.
Thank you very much.
So what, speak to us about some of the natural cures. I happen to be a naturalista. I deal with the herbs and I deal with the oils and all of those things. And so why don't you all speak to us about that journey? I know that Nicole, you started to talk a little bit about the fact that you used oils as part of your therapy, as a part of your healing process. Has anyone else done that?
I know that I use, my family is also Caribbean, so the Jamaican castor oil.
Yes, I forgot about that one. Yes, did that.
Yes. So I would, use it and rub the whole massaging your scalp. So you can get circulation to your scalp. I think I've even stood upside down to make the blood rush. I mean, I've tried different things, natural and not so much natural or chemical. I think for me, I just didn't like how whatever you do, you have to keep up with. So whether it's the shots or Rogaines or the castor oil, as soon as you see growth, you have to continue with it. And once you stop, then for me, my hair would then continue to fall out and get thinner and thinner. So I just stopped with all treatment, and I've tried Naloxone shampoo. I stopped with the treatments and just started hiding. It was easier for me, to be quite honest.
Easier to hide. Wow. Okay.
Easier to hide.
So we have another question, and this is from M. Edwards Tiffany. She says, what have been your experiences in explaining it to children?
So, I don't know if you want to go to me. I know for me, prior to me cutting my hair, I actually spoke to several of my students prior to, because I had a student who had a brother who had cancer. And I didn't want to come back in September, as you came back in September, Tanisha, and had cut your hair. I didn't want to come back and she, her or other students worried that I had taken ill, that I had cancer or anything of that matter. So I did share with them that I was considering cutting it, even though I hadn't decided to cut it yet, because I didn't want her to think that. And then just explaining to children that I've had, one student say, can I touch your head? And I'm totally against anyone touching my head when I had hair. That's, that's very private for me. That's my crown. And you just can't touch my hair. So, or my head. And I remember them saying, well, what happened? Why, kids will come out and ask if they really want to know and curious. And, you just tell them truthfully what happened. And I think it also helps them to say, wow, you can still be beautiful and confident even without having hair. It doesn't change who you are as a person. So
yeah,
that's what I would say to them.
And so we have one more question, and we are almost up with our hour. Just give me 1 second. We have one more question, and the question is from Renee Taylor. She says, now that you all are so comfortable, wait a minute, becoming it, are so comfortable with yourselves, would you want it back now and have to go through all the fuss?
Absolutely not. Without
Oh my.
hesitation, without reservation, absolutely not. This is my due. This is my thing. And, you know, I use this term all the time. This is my jam. I'm good. I don't miss it. I don't miss spending the money on it. I'm good. I'm really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone
I
else?
I was sharing with someone, especially now with being quarantined. This has definitely helped me. Don't have to worry about looking for where's my stylist. You know, everybody's on lockdown, and I just continue to shave my head and just go and be free. So I don't know. You know, it's been a year, and as soon as I had cut off my hair last year, I did a photo shoot to celebrate that, and no, I love it. You know, I went from curious to liking to love, and I love being bald. So
Wow.
I was never a big hair person, like going to like different hairdressers. I didn't like spending time in hairdressers. So me going to get my locks done maybe every once, month and a half or 2 months and just washing in between was fine for me. So when I decided to cut it, it was like, okay, good. I don't have to worry about anything. And like you said, I pull out my clippers and I cut.
Great.
So,
We have another question that has come up. It's come up from our YouTube viewer. And it says, the idea of pretty is what I struggled with. I shaved my head and felt that I needed to wear makeup and earrings to feel pretty, but I'm low maintenance and don't care for that. How do you deal? And I asked one of you this question earlier this week when we had our one-on-one conversation. I asked you, like, what is your go-to thing? I know when I was rocking the short haircut, people always said, you have to make sure you have some bright lipstick on, or you have to make sure you have big earrings on, or you have to make sure those eyes are popping. You know, those are things that we hear about short haircut. But no hair? How do you deal with that? How did you, with that whole notion of being pretty requires big earrings, makeup, and hair or other accessories?
Well, we did speak about that. And just to clarify, before I started doing placements, there were times where I would wear units that I would take on and off every day. And there were times that I started venturing out, making a trip here and there without a wig. And so every time, without fail, and I'm not a high key, contour, blush, makeup, everything individual, but I never leave home without my mascara. My mascara, even when I didn't have lashes, my lashes have since grown in. I always would make sure I put just a little zhuzh to play up my eyes, because as my hair went, I had to really look at myself, re-examine, and find my beauty, not only within, but I'm like, well, you have other things, you have a beautiful smile. So I just started to take account. And as I started to write everything down, I said, you know what? Hair was just the icing on the cake. So you still got it, girl. And I would have to really look in the mirror and I affirm myself and stop looking for external validation. And I think that was the biggest lesson throughout this entire process, was to stop looking for validation externally and started to go within. One thing that
happened for you, it was mascara and finding validation within. Yes. Now, my other three queens, what would you say?
Well, for me, my go-to is Ruby Woo. That's what the red lip is on
Ruby Woo by Mac.
Yes. Yes. So you have a bold cut haircut, you know, now I love to be bold. So whether that's with lipstick, I'm also into different glasses now. So I also have a different types of glasses for the different moods or the different outfits. So things that I never probably thought about now. Do I like to accent and accentuate certain things? Yes. You know, we're still women, whether you have hair or not. Some of us are still vain. Some of us want to dress up and feel a certain way. And the lipstick and the glasses do it for me, along with the mascara as well. And sometimes put on some fake eyelashes and rock it.
And so you said Zeta is wearing ruby woo red lipstick. Okay.
Listen.
I'm just clarifying.
Okay,
I am simply clarifying. That's it. I just wanted to reiterate that a lady of Zeta Phi Beta is wearing ruby woo red lipstick.
Absolutely. I mean, there's different shades that I wear, and it's all good. It all compliments.
That's right. And you are beautiful. Okay. So we have lipstick and glasses, and we have mascara as our accessory.
So I can say for me, it varies. I was never a heavy makeup person. So I do wear more jewelry than I used to in terms of earrings and necklaces, where I used to never wear necklaces. So I do that. The most you'll catch me with on a day is I will use a powder for my eyebrows. And I do a little eyeliner and some mascara. It's the, I forget the name who I go by, because I'm not really big on a lot of things, but I found one that I really like. And lip gloss. If I'm doing something or performing or going to a big event, I will do foundation and eyeshadow and all the full face, but it's very rare. And I have those days, honestly, when I go out with absolutely nothing on. And, you know, definitely with the glasses, either I will wear contacts or I will look for a frame that fits my face. But again, for me, it depends on how I'm feeling that day. Even if I'm feeling great, I might get up and still not put anything on except for some lip gloss. And I used to call myself Plain Jane, and people said, stop doing that. Stop calling yourself Plain Jane, because I think my smile is probably one of my biggest things, and it accentuates my face. And because I've heard that. So I will say that's, I feel like what carries off my bald head is my smile without anything else on.
Absolutely. So jewelry for you and your smile, right? And who else said you're never fully dressed without a smile? Somebody said that. I don't know who said that.
Annie. That was Annie.
Annie said it, huh? Annie? Okay. I was a theater major in college, so. And finally, my sister Tawanna, what is your go-to accessory?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Everything that I once did, I still do. I mean, I'm not a makeup person. You see, I have all this jewelry. I had it before I lost my hair. I just think it's that inner confidence just showing up and showing out. You know what I'm saying? That's it for me. I mean, you can be made up, dolled up, and you're still not cute. So I feel like...
Repeat that, please. You need to say that again.
You know what I'm
saying? For the
you can have all of that, and if you don't have that inner love, you're not cute. That's the bottom line. But I just believe in myself. You know what I'm saying? I believe in me. I choose me. I believe in me. And so with that being said, I think it just shows up. You know, of course, I have people say, "Oh my gosh, I would never have that kind of confidence." I had it with hair too. So this is just me. This is it.
And you a bad mama jam, I'm gonna tell you that. And so as we close, we're a little over past 8 o'clock, but I before we close, Sister Tawanna, would you just share about both of your books, and then we want Sister Tanisha to share about your ministry, but we want you guys to just share what you have going on. And as you all can see, we want you all to follow Liberated to Love on Facebook as well as on Instagram, because you've seen this is our second Living the Liberated Life segment, and we're going to have more to come, but we thank you guys for watching. So why don't you just share before we close tonight?
Okay, quickly. Again, I partnered with my daughter and we wrote a children's book, and it's called Bald, Beauty Always Looks Different. And it's Lily's first day of school. And it's about a little bald girl and her adventures that she undergoes and the people she runs into throughout the day of her first day of school. And we've also written an affirmation journal. So you can always go to baldalways.org, and you can definitely pick up those books there. But also, I just want to encourage everybody in the month of September, check us out. We want you to join our campaign, our virtual campaign, and tell us what you think bald is. And we try to just share that with everybody. Again, we really do believe at Bald that it's about individuality and promoting that and acceptance and embracing yourself and your differences.
Wonderful. Give us that where we can get the book one more time for our viewers.
Okay, you can always go to barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com. You can go to archwaypublishing.com. I want to say I said that correctly. And Archway falls up under actually Simon and Schuster. It's under their brand. And of course, you can always go to baldalways.org. But I think what's easier for most people is probably Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon. And you can, if you're an Amazon Prime person, you can get it tomorrow.
Maybe. Some people, well, you're going to get it. Let's say that.
Right, you will get it. All right. Thank you so much, and Sister Tanisha.
Yes. So I am the founder of Waiting in Heels. It is a ministry. It is a blog geared towards single women. It's how I'm documenting my journey from singlehood to marriage. And I help women and encourage women to heal. You know, as you wait, what does waiting look like during this time, and how does healing look, and what does doing the work really means? So all of that is documented in my blog. I also have other fellow writers that contribute, known as Daughters of Wisdom, and they give their perspective to singles about marriage, about divorce, about losing children, to help paint a realistic picture of what marriage is. And you can follow me on Instagram and on Facebook, Waiting in Heels. And you can go to my website, waitinginheels.com.
Wonderful, wonderful. Sister Nicole, you have any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to share with our viewers before we wrap up?
I'll just quickly say that, you know, with or without here, you really have to figure out who you are and find that confidence in you. We don't know what's promised to us. We don't know what's coming ahead of us. We don't know, you know, as we age, as we get older, our bodies change, things change. So I would like to also say to men, don't look at the physical all the time. Don't look, I mean, of course you want to take that in consideration, but do not let that be the deciding factor as to why you date a woman or not date a woman. Okay, because at the end of the day, we're all going to lose something. Our bodies are going to change. We don't know what's going to happen to us when we leave the house. And when you're with someone, whether you're married to them or they're older or younger, anything can happen any day. So really learn to get to know who they are and not just the physical.
All right. Thank you so much, Nicole. Listen, she just said, brothers, your wife may be bald. You looking around for somebody, trying to find somebody,
Right.
and you looking at the beauty supply stores, and you looking at the hair braiding places, but your wife may be a bald woman.
That's right.
You heard it here first. Makeda, won't you share with us your final liberating thoughts?
Final thoughts, liberating thoughts, is that acceptance is a journey with everything, and to take your time with it. Make it authentically yours. Also, you can find me under the Fat World banner where all the podcast lives on What Happened to Your Accent. In the next episode, we will be talking about hair as well. We will be talking about alopecia. Our last episode, we talked about individuals and their lock journey and their decision to lock their hair and the cultural significance around hair, natural hair, locked hair, and all that it entails. And so that's where I can be found. But yeah, I definitely want to leave everyone with acceptance is a journey. Acceptance and it just authenticity in that acceptance. You'll find your authenticity in the acceptance. So those are my final words.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Ladies, this has been a powerful, powerful time for us together. And as the word of God tells us, we overcome by the word of our testimony. And none of us we don't go through anything for ourselves. Everything that we have been through is so that we can be a blessing to somebody coming behind us. And you may not know who you impacted today, but know that somebody has been touched. And I realized here somebody said, Nicole is still pulling them. Don't be fooled. Somebody said in the comments, Nicole is still pulling them. Let's just be clear. All right. And so she's pulling them with or without hair. So that may be a liberating statement for somebody out there who's trying to hold on to some hair, thinking they're not going to have a husband or a blue ministry, right? So, but we want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. We want to share in living the liberated life. We just want to continue to share stories of liberation. There's so many people that are hiding, not just with their hair, they're hiding their sexuality, they're hiding their abuse, they're hiding, they've been confined in jobs that they don't like. They've been confined in so many ways. But we want to continue to promote living a liberated life because the word of God declares that he who the Son sets free is free indeed. And so we push forward being free in Christ and living in liberty. For where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. We thank and praise God for each of you ladies tonight. And we look forward to seeing you next month. Make sure you are signed up with Liberated to Love on Facebook and on Instagram. Our website is under construction and you will be getting updates, but we want to see you next month. We have another great show for you next week. Thank you all for viewing and thank each of you, our panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Just put us all backstage.